Hello, welcome back to a new video. I have some journals here today that I wanted to share with you, give you a little bit of a flip through and show you the covers up close because these journals are going to be for sale in my Etsy shop. I'll have all of the information for the sale in the description box of this video. So if you are interested in purchasing any of these journals, you can just check out the little description box and you can see what time they'll hit the shop. I am in Australia, so make sure you convert it to your own time zone wherever you are. In this collection, I have 8 journals that are going to be for sale. So these journals are felt based. My last few collections have been these felt based journals because I've just been having so much fun with the process. I do have a tutorial up on my channel on how you can make your own felt based journal cover. I'll link it down below as well. So if you want like a little step-by-step on how you can make your own, it's already up there for you. So the covers are made with felt, and then I've stitched and pieced together a bunch of different fabrics and linens and textiles to create the covers, which end up being really flexible and floppy and soft, and just they feel so nice in your hands. And it also means that you can bulk these journals up with a lot of stuff, a lot of photos, a lot of memories and mementos, and they'll be able to hold a lot of stuff. So you'll be able to get these really chunky and heavy and full, which is one of the reasons why I really love them. So I have been really enjoying the felt based covers, and I felt like I had one more collection in my system to get out before I move on to some new stuff. And so I wanted to create a collection that was very sort of bright and summery and floral, or even springy. So here in Australia, our summer is coming to an end, and so I wanted to kind of make the most of the last little bit of summer with some bright, fun, summery colors. And I also thought for those of you that are coming into spring, these would be perfect also for like a spring season. So as you can see, there are 8 journals here. These 4 along the top are all the exact same size. These 2 here are just very slightly smaller, so they are actually the same width, but they're just the tiniest bit shorter in height, like less than ½ an inch. So it's almost not worth mentioning, but I will mention it just in case that matters to someone. So these 2 here are just very slightly shorter. And then I've also done 2 minis, which look pretty big actually in my hand, but they are about 4x6. So they're smaller, but they still would fit like a 4x6 photo, and you can still chunk them up quite a bit. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the covers before I get into the flip through. If you are not into the chit chat, you can skip ahead, you can fast forward the video, whatever suits you, but I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about the covers. So I just pulled out a bunch of different floral fabrics that I had in my stash. I tried to use up things that I had in my stash and not go out and buy a bunch of stuff to make these. I also pulled out some vintage handkerchiefs and some vintage linens and cross stitch and embroidery. So each of these journals have like a special piece of vintage embroidery, and many of them also have pieces of vintage hankies, which I've been hoarding for ages as well, plus lots of lovely different fabrics, both new and old, and some trims. So I will give you a close-up of each cover first, and then we'll get into the inside. So they all just have a little piece of lace tied around them to keep them closed. This is completely removable. If you want to switch it out or change it out, you can take it completely off. But this is what the cover looks like for this one. I tried to do a slightly different vibe or color scheme for each journal. As I said, I use lots of pretty vintage fabrics and embroideries and trims, and I just tried different layouts for each book, just experimenting. And then for the inside, I'll just show you for each cover as well. I've just lined them with a complementing fabric. So this one has this sort of deep pink floral fabric. So there is the cover of that one. For this one, I went with a softer color palette, so some peachy sort of color tones, and then there's also pops of blues and some deeper colors as well. Just a fun little color palette to experiment with. Again, I was trying to make each one have like a different personality and just making each one feel really different to each other. I love the spine on this one too. So there is that one, and then on the inside, again keeping this one a bit softer, I lined it with this floral fabric. Next, this one I wanted to do like completely opposite to this and do bright colors. So I pulled out lots of really bright, fun colors and just matched them together to create this cover. There's fun little bits of trim pieced together and just really cute, bright little bits of fabric and embroideries. I've been hoarding this piece as well. I was going to use this on a personal journal, but I just felt like it fits so well with this cover that I had to use it. So the inside lining for this one is this very cute blue floral. And then we have this one. This one has lots of purples and greens. Again, just tried different layouts with the fabric and the trims just to make each book feel different and unique. Lovely, beautiful fabrics. And then the inside of this one is lined with this very cute purpley toned floral. Again, very flexible, very soft and cushy, which I love. So there's that one. Now we're moving down to the slightly smaller sized journals. Again, these are the same width and they have the same sized spine and everything. They're just the tiniest bit shorter. So this one has really pretty purple tones with some pinks and some yellows in there as well. Pretty little pieces of trims and fabrics. And the spine of this one's really pretty as well. And then I've lined this one with this pretty light purple floral fabric. And then the last large one is this one. This one has this pink tie around it. And for this one, I've gone with some light blue colors and some light pinks, and then pops of greens as well. I think it turned out really pretty. This is a piece of a vintage hanky, again, which I've just been hoarding for ages, but I was trying to use up some of my special things in these journals. So there's that one. And then I have lined the inside with this light blue fabric. Then for the last two, the little mini ones, I love how these ones turned out as well. So for this one, I went with a green and pink color scheme, and I just love the way these colors work together. So there's like pops of different tones of greens and pinks, sort of like aqua, and just I love the way that it's collaged together. So there's the spine, love the little pops of orange and yellow as well. This is a piece of a vintage hanky. This is like a piece of a vintage tablecloth, and this is also a hanky. And then the inside of this one is lined with this beautiful green fabric. And then the last cover to show you is this little one. This is a blue one, obviously. I love how this one turned out as well. So little blue piece of lace to keep it closed. Really beautiful piece of embroidery. And then cute little bits of trim and fabric. And the spine, so this one has lots of lovely little bits of embroidery and then the really fun little trim. I love this cute trim. And then this is also a piece of a vintage hanky. Collaging lots of different fabrics and textiles together to create the covers. So those are the covers up close. Now I'm going to give you a glimpse at the inside pages. So for the inside pages of these, I wanted them to feel very eclectic. I wanted them to feel very junk journaly with like a big nice mix and variety of paper types. So all of the journals in the collection have a mixture of papers that are very similar to each other. So they have things like map paper, vintage ledger paper, scrapbook paper, lots of beautiful book pages. There's just lots of kind of random fun paper types in these books. Again, I wanted them to feel very eclectic and I wanted it to be very like mixed up and very random, I suppose. And then I've also sewn in some little pockets And I've also added in bits and pieces that sort of flip out that you can write on top of or that you can write behind. So I'm not going to flip through every page in all of the books, but I'm just going to give you a glimpse. So there's that one. Then inside this one, same thing. I'm just going to give you a glimpse. That's vintage wallpaper. So there's little bits here that can fold out. And I tried to use up again some of those things that feel very special that I've just been maybe hoarding a little bit. So papers that I really, really love. Tried to use them in this collection. And these books will grow really well. So if you add stuff to every page, it will just get nice and chunky. So there is that one. Then I'll show you inside this one. In the larger ones, I also stitched in a vintage hanky. And then they have the same type of pages, but because they're bigger, they feel like they have more, I suppose. I was able to add more things sewn onto the pages. And with the pages being larger, I was able to add in some really cool paper types as well. So each of these large ones also have a big vintage pattern envelope like this, which you can use as a pocket. It's just stitched onto one of the pages, which I think looks really cute. And lots of lovely paper. And the other really great thing about these books is they lay nice and flat. So when you're actually journaling in them, you can lay them out and they're really easy to use. So they're very user-friendly. So there is that one. Next, back to this little purple. So again, I'm just gonna get probably a little bit quicker as I flick through, just to show you some of the fun stuff that you'll find in here. And I probably will go through and add some extra bits and pieces inside the pockets of all of these journals, but I just wanted to show you first the bare pages so that you know what's inside and you can kind of get an idea of how you would use them and fill them up. So just lots of beautiful, fun little bits and pieces. So there's that one. Then the slightly larger purpley coloured book. Again, all the same sorts of pages, so I won't be too slow to flip through. These larger ones also have these little cardstock pages with the tabs. So they're like these really fun, bright coloured pieces of cardstock. Just some really gorgeous book page illustrations. And really fun little bits of paper. So there is that one. Then back to the bright one. So I did kind of keep within the themes of each book. So if I felt like the pages really suited the cover, then I would put it into that corresponding book. So for this one, may have slightly brighter coloured pages, and then this one might have slightly more muted or more like orangey peachy tones, if that makes sense. So again, just gonna give you a glimpse really of what's inside. So there's lots of pages, but there's also lots of glowing room. So just really beautiful base pages. So there is that one. Then back to this peachy sort of vintage feeling book. Again, all the same sort of page types in each book. Some really beautiful book pages as well that feel nice and springy. So there is that one. And then the last one, which was this one. So just all the same fun page types. And there is some pockets and stuff in these journals, but I always like to keep the base pages really usable. I want them to be inspiring to journal with. I want them to have fun and interesting bits and pieces, but I also want them to be a blank canvas for you so that you can just be inspired by the page and then you can fill it with your actual life and your own memories and your own journaling. So that's what I try to do with my junk journals. So that is a close-up look at the collection. Again, if you are interested in purchasing any of these journals, the details will be in the description box. I'll also put a post up on Instagram, most likely on my Instagram stories, with a countdown to how long there is until the sale happens. So if you are having trouble converting the different times for the different countries, you can check out that countdown on my Instagram stories and it will tell you how many hours there are left. I'm always interested to hear which journal in the collection is your favorite. So if you have a favorite or if any of these stand out to you, I would absolutely love if you would comment which one is your favorite and why. It always kind of baffles me and surprises me which ones are the favorite in the collection. So please leave a comment if you do have a favorite. Remember, if you want to make your own, I have a tutorial which I'll link down below. And if you have any other questions, you can just leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today and for watching this video until the end. And I will see you again very soon in my next video. Bye.